Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Radeon RX 6600, the RX 5700 XT, and the RX 6900 XT, what a beast, in Ghost of Tsushima with its new FSR 3.1 update. Let's quickly go over the PC specs. We're pairing these GPUs with a Ryzen 9 7950X3D with half of its cores disabled, so it's basically the same as a Ryzen 7 7800X3D, 32GB of RAM, DDR5 6000MHz CL30 in dual channel, and a 2TB SSD for the game. Alright, here we go. First up, we got the RX 6600. It's installed with the latest AMD drivers as usual. You can see all of its specs here in Tech Power-Up's GPU-Z. AMD SAM or resizable bar is enabled, and over on the left you can see the CPU and the memory once again. We've already went through this, so let's just play the game now. And look at how beautiful this is, guys. Oh yes, 70-ish frames per second. It's buttery smooth right now. Very, very nice. And let's go over the settings first. I'm starting at 1080p resolution using FSR 3 native AA. So this is native resolution, just applying the sharpening and the anti-aliasing from FSR 3. Frame generation is turned off and upscaling is turned off at the moment as well. And on the graphics settings, I'm using the high preset here, okay? And well, we're not utilizing any FSR 3.1 at the moment. This is just native resolution, as I told you, but it's just so we take a look at the FPS here and the visuals as well. Are you serious? You ruined my benchmark run. For what? For what? Come on. I need to go to the other area. Oh my god. No, stop it. Stop it. Okay, let's fight these guys then. Actually, this is not a comparison, so I don't need to do exactly the same thing for every GPU, right? Let's go. It's counting. We're getting 70s. It feels buttery smooth like this. There's no need to use like FSR or frame generation with the 6600 apparently at 1080p resolution. It's doing a fantastic job, but we're still not in the most intensive area, of course. I'm not going to liberate this one because then we're going to go into a cutscene and I'll need to restart counting the FPS. Come over here, Roach. Let's get out of here, go to the Golden Temple, which is one of the most, if not the most intensive area in the game. But I'm really curious to see how FSR 3.1 will actually look, because FSR 3.0, you know, the version that was used prior to this update in this game, that looked extremely bad, honestly, especially at 1080p resolution. When you used quality FSR 3.0, it looked very rough, super shimmery, super pixelated and noisy everywhere, especially on moving things, and basically a lot of things move in this game, like yourself, of course. The grass is always moving with the wind and stuff. Now, this is the Golden Temple area, guys, and it's not dropping from 60 FPS, although it's close to the low 60s sometimes, like 64 right there. But it is really smooth still. There's, again, no need for us to utilize FSR quality here or frame generation. If you want that native resolution experience, yeah, feel free to use native resolution. Now, let's use FSR 3 on quality. This is, again, FSR 3.1 now. Yeah, I can instantly see the difference, guys. First of all, there is a little bit of ghosting around Roach's head. You can see it if I zoom in, maybe, in editing. Yeah, there's... you know, it's super minor, honestly. We're now getting 100 frames per second. And it's definitely looking a heck of a lot better than FSR 3.0 did, guys. Like, you can see that it's a little bit softer, of course, in like the grass and stuff. It's not as detailed or as sharp as it was previously, but it's not noisy either. This is basically rendering the game at 720p resolution and upscaling it to 1080p at the moment. And it is a little bit softer than 1080p native was, but it's not a bad experience at all, visually speaking, okay? That's pretty impressive, guys. Aside from, like, the little ghosting that you see around the character if you move fast, but you actually got a pixel peep to notice it very often, so, yeah, This is great. Great technology right here. For older GPUs that aren't as powerful as the 6600 in this title, like for example the RX 580 that we tested yesterday, it will make a huge difference. I would actually consider this experience. It looks that good, guys. Holy crap. Coming into this, I was worried that FSR 3.1 would be a little bit of a disappointment, like all of the FSR iterations have been up until now, you know. It's always super overhyped, and I'm always thinking, yeah, it's going to be great this time around, and then it's a blurry mess or a pixelated mess, more often a noisy pixelated mess than a blurry mess, honestly. But it's almost like DLSS once again. Now, I'm gonna keep FSR 3 quality enabled and enable frame generation on top of it. Let's see if it emphasizes like the ghosting issue that we were seeing. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit softer right now, and it's a little bit more pixelated at the same time. So, holy crap, I just looked at the FPS. 100 plus, damn. We do get a lot of frames compared to what we were seeing before. But I don't think I would utilize this because now it's starting to get pretty soft. This time of the day and these colors are actually reminding me of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You know, like, especially these over here. Yeah, very similar to that one. But, well, if you're looking for a super high refresh rate experience, this is it, guys. Even in the Golden Temple area, as you can see, it's getting 150s, 160s. Kind of insane performance, actually. And it still manages to look decent. Okay, let's turn off the upscaling now and just use frame generation on top of native resolution just to check it out. All right, is there a little bit of ghosting? Maybe there is, or like a little bit of pixelation around the edges of characters moving, but it's super minor. Once again, it's kind of like FSR 3 on quality now, which is very impressive. Like FSR frame generation on top of native resolution, which is what we're using right now, is very, very good looking. I would actually recommend it to people with lower end specs and stuff like the RX 580, for example. It did look great. It played at 60 FPS with 1080p high settings. And here, since you can get 60 plus FPS all of the time at native, I would do that. But if you want minimal visual quality loss and a smoother experience with a tad bit more input lag that is not really noticeable because we're above 100 FPS, you can have it here. Okay, these are the results in the Golden Temple area, very intensive area, and it's still above 100 frames per second. Also, 0 stutters. That is absolutely amazing in this title, man. I love it. The optimization is really, really good here. That's it for the RX 6600. Let's move on to the 5700 XT. And here we have it, RX 5700 XT installed with the latest AMD drivers as well. And I ran DDU. I fully uninstalled the previous drivers to install the same ones, actually. But yes, I do that every single time, okay? Anyway, you can still see the GPU specs here in Tech PowerUp's GPU-Z and the CPU on the left as well as the RAM. Same stuff right here. And well, we're back at it. As you can see, the 5700 XT is a bit faster than the 6600, about like 10 frames per second faster. I'm still using the same settings here, 1080p using native AA and the high preset, although we should probably try it with some higher settings than the high preset, right? Because this is quite capable. Let's just check it out in the Golden Temple, have a little bit of a comparison to the 6600 here. This is very nice, guys. Like, the atmosphere in this game is awesome. Graphics-wise, it could be better. I know a lot of people complain about the graphics in this game. I think the art style looks great. Texture quality-wise, it could look better, in my opinion, as well. But hey, art style is also very important, and it's great anyways, right? It looks very, very nice. Over here in the Golden Temple, instead of dropping into the 60s, come on, Roach, let's go. We're dropping into the low 70s at times, mid 70s. So again, not quite 10 FPS faster than the 6600 in this particular area, but around like 5 FPS, 5 to 10 FPS most of the time, I guess, is what you can expect out of this compared to the 6600. Of course, enabling FSR 3 on quality without FG at the moment will make it much faster now, while looking very, very good. Still good to see that the 5000 series still manages FSR 3.1 the same as the 6000 series. That's decent, okay. Again, I can see a little bit of maybe ghosting or pixelation around the character and Roach when... well, yes, I call him Roach every time, okay? If you're wondering, the real Roach is from The Witcher 3, but they're all Roaches in my heart, alright? Anyway, yeah, again, I can spot a bit of pixelation there. Not sure if it's more emphasized here than the RX 6600, honestly. Probably not. It's the same version of FSR 3.1 after all. But yeah, I can see a difference, right? It's not like you can't spot the difference, but thing is, it still looks great with FSR 3.1, whereas with FSR 3.0, it was absolutely atrocious. All right, I'm gonna stop it there because I want to try it with higher settings, very high, with high textures, because the very high textures do require a bit more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM in this game. Oh, look at that, starting to get pretty intensive on very high settings, with high textures, around 69 FPS, which is quite nice indeed. I would expect that coming from the 6900 XT at 4K. We'll get there. I hope it gets 69 average, actually. Anyway, we're getting low 60s at the moment, guys. So, again, the very high settings look very similar to the high settings in this game, so I don't think I would utilize these. If it was 60 plus 100% of the time, sure, go ahead, use very high settings, 5700 XT can do it, but I'm not sure, actually, since we've been seeing like low 60s already. Maybe in the Golden Temple it will end up dropping from 60 FPS, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's still playable like this, but yeah, that's the case. 57, 58... gets a little bit rougher, you know. But well, I guess if you really want to play at the very high settings, there's always the option of using FSR 3.1 now, because it looks great, right? And look at that, we're now getting 70s to 80s. Much better, much smoother experience here, and the visuals, again, they're a little bit more noisy, but not to the point where it matters too much, especially on a 1080p monitor. You can see a bit of noise there on the front of the horse, for example. It's a little bit noticeable, but you gotta pixel peep. Most of the image basically looks really nice with FSR 3.1 on quality, and it's a nice way to play the game right now using these settings. You know what? I kind of want to get into a little bit of a fight. Oh my god. Roach, do not scare me like that, please. It's not Red Redemption 2. Oh boy. But yeah, I want to see like some fast movements on enemies as well. Like right here, lots of details on the ground and stuff. Yeah, there's a little bit of pixelation around the targets, the enemies basically, and the blood and stuff like that. Wait, there we go. But it's not major. Once again, like, this is totally passable, especially on like a 24-inch 1080p monitor. And then, of course, you could also utilize frame generation with native AA. I don't really recommend you, again, to use FSR 3 plus frame generation at the same time, or FSR 3.1 quality plus frame generation. That's it. And we're getting like 100 FPS, 90 to 100 plus at times. It's really smooth still, as expected. Alright, you know what? I'm curious to see it at 1440p here with this GPU as well. So this is native 1440p, and I restarted the game to apply the high preset again. And look at that, it's getting like 60-ish frames per second. Not bad, but it will definitely drop into the 50s for sure in the Golden Temple area. Actually, it's already dropping into the 50s, unfortunately. Yeah, 58. Okay, so we don't even need to get to the Golden Temple area to see that. It's not going to be as buttery smooth of an experience as it was before, right? Although it still looks really good, and it's way sharper at the moment because it's 1440p. But you know what? Since FSR 3 quality did look really impressive at 1080p, at 1440 it should be even better, right? There's the ghosting again. This is very noticeable right now, actually, in this background over here. Yeah, you can see it. But aside from that, and for a slight bit more noise around the character here, everything is looking really good. At 1440p, it's working even better, and it makes sense, of course. The higher the resolution, the better FSR will work, or DLSS, or XeSS, all of the upscaling technologies, basically. This, I mean, it makes the 5700 XT a pretty decent option for 1440p high settings in this particular title. And this is all without frame generation. Obviously, if we enable frame generation, it's going to be even faster. I'm going to do that in just a little bit, but there's no need. If I was playing this game myself with the 5700 XT here, I would definitely choose to play at 1440p high with FSR Quality. All right, let's go. Golden Temple area, moment of truth. It won't really drop from 60 FPS, obviously. We already know that. It's getting 70. Isn't this very similar to what we saw at 1080p native resolution with very high settings? Or maybe not. No, not very high settings, but with the high settings. Yeah. This is it. Yeah, I think so. It dropped to like low 70s. And 70 FPS was the lowest. All right, just for fun, let's do frame generation on top of this. And yeah, now it's a little bit softer. I can start noticing the softness quite a bit, but the FPS, holy crap. That is absolute insanity right now. Who would have thought that a 5700 XT would be capable of achieving these FPS? And again, since the quality is actually similar, it's still not quite DLSS quality levels, but it's close enough. This is a viable option still to play the game like this. What the... Whoa! Try it for yourselves, guys. I think on like a 24-inch or a 27-inch 1440p monitor, this will still look really, really good. And lastly, the RX 6900 XT is now installed with the latest AMD drivers as well, of course. You can see all of the specs here in Tech Power Ups, GPUs A as usual. And on the left, same CPU, same RAM, of course. Let's see how this beast does. So just for comparison's sake, I'm starting at 1080p using FSR native and the high settings. Not that you should play like this with such a powerful GPU, but yeah, it's just so we know how much capable this is compared to the previous two GPUs that we tested. And around here, remember, the 6600 was getting like 75 FPS, I think. The 5700 XT was getting like 10 more FPS, and this one is getting like 100 more FPS. Holy crap, that's absolutely insane, dudes. Obviously, if you want 1080p resolution, there's no need for upscalers with the 6900 XT. I mean, this is high settings, not very high, but there's no need. And just for curiosity's sake, because now I'm very curious, I'm gonna set it to FSR Quality, okay? Let's see, with FSR Quality, it gets CPU bound. Oh boy! Yep, the GPU is too powerful, basically, for the CPU at this insanely low resolution. But the thing is, if we enable frame generation on top of it... Oh boy, look at that! GPU is now maxed out again, and we're getting 350 frames, 360 FPS. Oh my god. That was just a bit of fun, okay? It's basically double or more than double of what the 6600 got with these same settings. Nobody should play like this with this card. Let's go to 1440. And here we have it, 1440p resolution, FSR native once again. So native res, no upscalers, very high settings, not maximum settings. A couple of things could still go higher, but you know, like very high is already kind of diminishing returns compared to high. Now at 1440p, very high settings, as you can see, this is buttery smooth of an experience. It's better than the other two cards, even at 1080p high settings, you know, while this is at 1440p very high. So it is a phenomenal experience here at this res, guys. No worries at all. It can keep up absolutely fine with Ghost of Tsushima here. That power utilization, however, that's a little bit concerning. 300 plus watts, and it doesn't even show the actual power usage of the 6000 series, by the way. The 6600 was consuming around 120 watts, but it only showed around 100 watts. This is using around 350 watts, but it's only showing around 300 watts. That's just how the 6000 series work, basically, okay? Anyway, around the Golden Temple area, we get around 90 frames per second. it is awesome of an experience. Again, like, it still feels like a high refresh rate experience. It's far better than 60 hertz, this one right here, you know, and I would totally recommend everyone to play like this with the 6900 XT. No need for those frame generation stuff, no need for FSR 3 quality, but if you want that, let's do FSR 3.1 on quality first. Slightly softer of a picture quality once again. Not to worry about though, it still looks really good, and now we're up into the 130s, so we bumped up our FPS by like 30%, 30 to 40% I would say. Really smooth. Again, it doesn't really make much of a difference in a single player title to have like 100 FPS or 140 FPS. Like 90 plus is ultra buttery smooth already for a game like this, in my opinion. No need for more than that, but hey, if you're all about high refresh rates even in single player titles, well, rest assured 6900 XT can definitely provide that with very good visuals still at 1440p with FSR 3.1 on quality, as you can see. Okay, so 127 here. Look in this direction. I'm gonna stop right there, and we're gonna enable frame generation on top of it. Can we get 200s? Yep. We can get 200s at 1440p, very high, guys. Holy moly, this is insane. I mean, this was still possible in the prior versions of FSR 3, you know, you got the frame generation there. The thing is, it looks so much better now that it's actually a viable option. I would usually say don't use FSR 3 quality if your GPU can handle native resolution, and if it can't handle native resolution, just use FSR native plus frame generation. That's going to be the best visual quality to performance ratio. But right now, oh, those little lantern thingies were looking a little bit blurry and ghostly, I think. Yeah, with FSR 3.1, but it's minor things here and there, basically. But now you actually do get good visual quality. Okay, while you have really high FPS at the same time. I still wouldn't do this. Native resolution was definitely sharper, and that's what I'd go for. But, I mean, if you have a 240Hz monitor and you want to get close to maxing it out, this is a pretty nice option. I mean, it will look decent. Now, I'm gonna disable FSR quality and just use frame generation on top of native AA here. Whoa, yeah, okay. Back to a much sharper image right now. Damn, and the FPS are also way higher than before. Guys, I mean, this might be to the point where the difference between native res and native res plus FG here at 1440p is so negligible that you might actually want to utilize some FG. I would be fine with the 90 plus FPS experience, but if you want to max out like a 144Hz 1440p monitor, this is the way. This is definitely the way. Let's go up to 4K next. Oh, now we're starting to see the limits of the 6900 XT. Yeah, it's kind of like the 5700 XT at 1080p very high, but this is 4K very high. Now, of course, you could just lower the graphical options here, just lower a preset to high. You'll still have amazing picture quality, of course, kind of similar as well, and play at native resolution with 60 plus FPS all of the time, or almost all of the time. You already know that. I don't need to showcase that. But now it's the perfect time to use FSR 3, guys. There's no need to utilize high settings, because I think, given what we've seen today on the other resolutions, FSR 3 on quality will deliver really similar results to native 4K. And well, I can see that the picture quality is just ever so slightly softer here, but it just looks like you are using other type of anti-aliasing, you know? It's still better looking than native resolution with TAA, because TAA in this game looks horrible, by the way. So yeah, I can see a shimmery edge on site. The ghosting is still there, although, yeah, definitely noticeable right there, guys. Look at that. The ghosting is still there from FSR 3, but it's not a major issue, again. And we're getting 90 FPS instead of 50 FPS. This is the way to play this game at 4K resolution. Maybe even with FSR frame generation on top, because if it looks great and it gets us like 120 FPS, it's going to be a much smoother experience. And it's gonna look insane still. But yeah, this is surprisingly good looking. What a great experience, holy crap. And again, this is all with native frame rates, okay? No frame generation involved, so there's no input lag either. Lastly, I went to check it out with frame generation and quality FSR, and yep, it is still sharp, guys. I think I see, maybe it's placebo, but I think I see a little bit more pixelation around my character, that moving thing on my shoulder once again. It's a little pixelated, but this is pixel peeping at this point, guys. It's 4K after all. It looks really, really good. FSR 3.1 is available on many more GPUs from AMD and NVIDIA, like the RTX 30 series as well. And you can use it with those and have, again, a very similar experience to NVIDIA's frame generation with the 40 series. Still not quite there, like that still looks slightly better because with those technologies from NVIDIA, I can't really see any pixelation issue anywhere. Basically, if you keep things on quality, like quality DLSS plus frame generation at 4K. But this is so minor, again, that it doesn't matter at all. I hope you enjoyed my look at the performance of these GPUs as well as FSR 3.1 for the first time. I'm looking forward to testing other GPUs, maybe in like Spider-Man Remastered or Horizon Forbidden West with FSR 3.1. Let me know what you think about that. Type it down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.